Hi, in this video I want to share some tips for working with text on your iPad. We've talked about the keyboard and how you use the keyboard to type and enter text, but what happens when you've actually got text on the screen and you need to change it? You'll notice that your iPad keyboard doesn't have any arrow keys. You can't go left and right and up and down to move around in your text. I mean, you can use the delete button to backspace over text, but that's not very effective. What happens if, for example, you have a typo that the iPad didn't automatically correct for you? This sentence here, for example, I've got a pretty egregious typo. What do you do? Well, the iPad has a great way to select text built in. The secret is, when you have text on the screen, use your finger to touch and hold on top of the text. And what you'll see is this little magnifying glass shows up. That actually allows you to get a pretty good look at where your finger is on the screen, something that can be difficult because the insertion point where you're typing and your finger are very different sizes. Using this little magnifying glass, I can go and I can slide my finger carefully over right to where my typo is. And then all I have to do is I can backspace and get rid of it. That's how you actually go and move the insertion point in your text. If I was to start typing now, it would actually show up right there in the middle of the word. Now, it's also possible when you have some text to select it and do stuff with it. So, for example, I'm going to select the word running. To do that, I just tap the word twice. And you'll notice that it automatically gets highlighted. And there are little blue batons or handles on that selection. If I wanted to increase how much text is selected, all I would do is touch and drag the ends of that selection area. You'll also notice that a special little pop-up menu showed up with a couple of options that can be very handy. Cut and copy. Anytime you're working with text, those options will be available. So if you wanted to copy and paste something somewhere, you would use those options. Some apps will also allow you to access a dictionary. So for example, with running, I can tap define, and it will then in a moment pop up a little popover with information about what that word is. I've still got the text highlighted. To bring that menu back up, all I have to do is tap it once. In a lot of programs, if you do have a word that it doesn't recognize and it thinks might be a typo, this suggest option will also show you some other things that maybe it thinks you wanted to type instead. And you can choose one of those just by tapping on the word that you want. Now, I talked about copying and pasting. I'm just going to copy the word running. I'm going to select it again with a double tap and choose copy. And now what I can do is, let me come down and hit return to add some space. When you want to paste something, all you need to do is tap once on the text area. And you'll get another little pop-up menu. There is select and select all, which are very helpful ways to select all the text that's around where you're at. But I'm going to choose paste. And you'll notice that word is just added automatically. Now, what happens if you accidentally paste something that you didn't mean to? There is an undo. Some apps will actually give you an undo button, but in a lot of apps, if you've typed something that you didn't mean to or pasted it, you can undo by shaking your iPad. You won't be able to see me shaking it, but when I do that, I get this little menu that shows up that gives me the option of undoing the paste or canceling. I'm going to hit undo paste, and it disappears. And there you are, a few secrets for working with text on your iPad.